I'm built for it, nigga.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy DJ Skandalous here, and I'm back with an all-new breaking news vlog about Tupac. Now, if you didn't see online, there's a new TMZ article that's about Tupac and his unreleased master reels. Let's get into it right now. So when you first get on to the TMZ website, you're going to see this article here. It says Tupac's estate settled a 5-year-old fight, wins back unreleased music. And if you didn't know, the unreleased music of Tupac is divided between multiple companies, one being Interscope Records, the estate of Tupac Shakur, and Death Row Records, which is now owned by a new company called Entertainment One. So before we dive into this article here, I just want to explain what is actually going on with Tupac's music. There has been an album in around 12 years since 2006, and there's no known reason why there's not a new album. But I can go over several instances and opinions from me that I think why there hasn't been one, and that'll be later in this vlog. So the Tupac music is divided between multiple record labels, one being Interscope Records that Tom Whalley now owns, as you know, Afeni Shakur passed and all the rights went to Tom Whalley of Interscope Records, and Entertainment One, which they bought out Wide Awake, and back in 2010 Wide Awake bought out the Death Row catalog during bankruptcy court. So now Entertainment One owns the Death Row catalog, but they cannot release an album without the consent of Interscope Records, Tom Whalley, and before Afeni Shakur. So one of the major problems between the unreleased music coming out is that Entertainment One probably doesn't want to pay royalties to Interscope Records and Tom Whalley, or Tom Whalley does not want to sign off on a new project. So since now I just broke that down for you guys, I'm going to go ahead and read this article. Tupac's estate is getting a treasure trove of unreleased music, although not as much cash as it wanted. We've learned Tupac's estate has settled its lawsuit against Entertainment One. The company is sued because the estate claimed Entertainment One had screwed it over royalties in the tune of 7 figures. Now, this is possible because I'm not sure how they divvied up the royalties that they got for All Eyez on Me, the Machiavelli album, the Gang Related soundtrack. I'm not sure if that just like shoots out to all parties involved, or you know, Entertainment One just gets a big check and then it's supposed to give money to Interscope. So I'm not sure how this occurred. Sources with direct knowledge tell TMZ Entertainment One will pay the estate a substantial 6-figure amount, but there's something more significant. Tupac's mom, Afeni Shakur, was administrator of Tupac's estate back in 2013 and sued Entertainment One to get a bunch of unreleased master recordings her son made. Afeni died in 2016, but the lawsuit trudged on until this week we learned that these unreleased masters will now go back to the state. We're told the value of the recordings is huge. Alright guys, so what that means is there's potentially going to be a new Tupac album coming out probably next 5 years. Hopefully when they decide to release a new movie that's been in the works for probably about a year or two now. There's been talks about a new movie coming from the director that did 12 Years a Slave. And we're not sure if there will be a new soundtrack with that, with unreleased music. They have as many as 200 unreleased songs to use here, and that's not just counting the originals that were already remixed, you know, from Are You Still Down to the Pac's Life album. These are completely new unreleased songs. Some of them are scrap verses that they still use, and there's as many as 200. But let me take you back a little bit. Back in 2010, when Wide Awake purchased the Death Row catalog, they were also awarded a option album, and it was about 12 tracks, but they have access to around 20 or 30 Tupac recordings. And most of them are unreleased, some of them are original versions. And this option album stemmed from the Death Row lawsuit with Suge Knight. And apparently, you know, Death Row was, you know, guaranteed an option album, but it wasn't said if they would pay royalties to the estate or if Afeni Shakur had to sign off on the release. But it said that they were allowed to release an option album, but for whatever reason, Entertainment One and Wide Awake never released this album. So there's many master recordings from 1995 and 96, but the big problem is there has been massive leaks since 2010, and these were all MP3 or degraded forms and unfinished versions that went on the internet because Wide Awake apparently hired a guy that bootlegged everything and resold everything to collectors. But what I do know is not every song from the Death Row catalog has been leaked yet. There's as many as 20 to 30 unreleased Death Row songs that the public hasn't heard. There's as many as probably 80 songs of Death Row content that the public has now on YouTube that's still unreleased. So this may have been the main reason why the Interscope Records and the estate has not released a Death Row era album in around 12 years, because perhaps with the bankruptcy filing of Death Row Records to Wide Awake and to Entertainment One, they were waiting on to see what happens with that Death Row content that they now had rights to. So now, since it falls back on Interscope, we may see new albums with like Reincarnation, Ride For Me, Street Life, The World Is Mine, War Games, if they love their kids, and songs like that. But the one thing that I'm puzzled on is, maybe we might not see a new album because they had 12 years to release their own projects. They had rights to songs from 1988 to all the way to 1994, and we know that there's many scrap songs from Are You Still Down, Loyal to the Game that they could have easily put out. There were Dope Fiends Diner, there were Resistant Temptation, Scare Straight that they could have used to put out a new 1991 and 1992 era album, as well as the Ghost original that appeared on Resurrection. So they had many of these songs already, and many songs from 91 all the way to 94 that they could have used to make multiple Tupac albums. And they still haven't released anything since the year 2006, which was the last official album, and 2007, which was Greatest Hits Collection. So now, before you guys say, oh, well, Tupac doesn't have that many unreleased songs, if you're a part of his online forums like my forum, which is tupaclegacy.net, or you can go to my fan forum, which everyone engages on, which is tupaclegacyboard.net. If you go on there, you'll find many articles, you'll find many documentations of unreleased songs. You may even find some recordings on there. There's as many as 200 unreleased songs. 120 of those we know that they're leaked out on the internet. They're still usable for an album because they're released in degraded form. They've never been on an album. They may have been, in incomplete form, where the beat's not fully finished yet. That's still usable for an album. So a song like Tongue Kissing, which has been leaked for 10 years, is still usable for an album. But I'm not too sure of how many unreleased, unheard songs that Entertainment One still has. Maybe 20 and maybe 30 that they're getting. Now, with that 200 unreleased song figure, so I factored in songs that, were completely unreleased, and I also factored in songs that have scrap verses. So a song like Run the Streets has a scrap verse. That would count as a usable verse. So I factored that in there. I factored in different recordings such as Bury Me a G, having a radio version and having a 4-verse version that's completely different. I would factor that into the unreleased figure as well. And there's as many as 200. I would say around probably 80 of that is pre-Death Row, another 80 of that is Death Row content, and the remaining is probably guest appearances and stuff like that. And for the people that think I'm lying about how much unreleased music there is, I'm just going to name some for you. Wherever You Are, Fade Me, Where You Been, If There's a Cure, Street Life, Reincarnation, Thug Nigga, Brothers in Arms, Set It Off, My Own Style, Trump Tight, He vs. She, Ride For Me, I think I said Reincarnation already, War Games, Watch Your Mouth, Animosity, Ain't Necessarily So, Tears of a Clown, Time to Get My Drink On, Judgment Day, Niggas in the Pen, Brothers in the Pen, Penitentiary Bound, Sarah Smile, Smile For Me Original, No Parts of This, Fade Away, What I Won't Do For Love 91 version, Still I Rise 94 version, Wonder Why I Call You Bitch 94 version, Are You Still Down 94 version, because they only released the 93 version on Are You Still Down, not the 94 version by Shock G. High Till I Die Thug Life version, Bury Me a G, Radio, Bury Me a G, Solo, freaking so many songs. Outlaw Immortal, Welcome to Death Row, Comrades, Only Move for the Money, First to Bomb, Sister's Gotta Have It, which is an unheard song. Also, there's Grab the Mic, there's Is It Cool to Fuck, Face Shootouts, the St. Eyez verse, which is still usable, the St. Eyez Death Row version, which is still usable in some way. That is just to name a few. Now, there's many unheards also that were part of the Death Row Option album that the Wide Awake did an interview with various websites, and one of the main talk about songs was It's Gotta Watch and Show Me Another Way, Ain't No Stopping Us, Capture the Flag, and several other songs. And there's also a song called Criminal Times, which is under the Troublesome 96 master reel. So as you see it, guys, there's many songs, and that's just off the top of my head. I'm probably forgetting a lot. So there's enough for at least 10 albums of content, and hopefully, since the acquisition of the Entertainment One recordings, now the estate can probably go back and finally release these recordings. I'm not sure if they were just waiting to get proper master reels. Maybe they had, just mix sounds of the song that were fully finished, as what I mean, like not production wise, but formatted, where they couldn't take out the acapella. They were just finalized versions. So they needed the reel to actually, reproduce the beat and stuff like that and change things around. And maybe they don't have that from every song. And maybe there's engineers and producers that are hiding songs or master reels away that they can't get access to. So there's probably songs on YouTube that we have heard, probably like a song like What I Won't Do for Love, that probably, the state may not have the master reel to, but we had the song, so we're not sure how they would go about, releasing that. Maybe they would just release a rip like that, or maybe they're waiting to find that master reel so they can remix it or enhance the beat. But overall, this is probably a great day since they got the acquisition. Maybe we might see an album for the first time in 12 years. I don't know why they would let all these songs collect dust and do nothing when they can make a positive impact on somebody in the world as it did for me. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this vlog, be sure to check out my other vlogs. I'm going to have my latest vlog that I talked about last week. It's going to be about the All Eyez on Me movie. I'm going to push that back to later in this week, so I hope you guys check that out. Like always, like and subscribe. Peace out.
So scandalous. All you niggas out there, she's so scandalous. Beware these lying ass scandalous bitches. They will leave your ass on E.